At the White House, along with a number of people, speaking with many folks familiar with this situation, he believes the real issue here is not enrollment, it is credibility. Ron Fournier is the senior political columnist for National Journal. Ron, good to see you. And so you're somebody who has been defending the concept of this law and health insurance for, purportedly it was going to be for 30 million Americans. Now we're told we're going to have 31 million Americans without insurance, despite the law. In any event, you're talking about how now it's just come down to credibility. How? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, I know inside the White House what they're really worried about right now is they know they really messed up early on, and they're having a hard time with these numbers, as Ed talked about. We can get that in more detail if you want. And what they realize they have a big credibility problem, that this is a branding issue. This is like trying to sell Pepsi or Coke, and if you're not selling a product that people believe in, and if they don't believe in the people who are selling it, you've got a problem. And even inside the White House, they know they've got a reputational problem that's setting them back at least 6 months, maybe even further. And it could really
so let me ask you. So is the solution to mislead more? Because, we saw the president in his O'Reilly interview talk about that nonsense, Medicaid number. He's making up numbers, taking credit, giving the law credit for getting all these people on Medicaid. Query whether that credit is deserved. But in any event, those numbers have been discredited by fact checkers, across the country. They continue to say them. They say 3.3 million Americans have enrolled now in the state exchange and the federal exchange. That's not true. We don't know how many have enrolled.
It's my biggest problem with this White House and with politics in Washington in general is they assume people are dumb and that they're not going to get beyond the spin and find out what's really happening. The fact of the matter is they said they needed to get to 7 million. Now they're saying, no, we weren't talking about 7 million. They were. The fact of the matter is
they said it's on tape. Wait, just hold that thought.
That's what I'm saying.
It's on tape. Let's just, for the folks at home, just in case they thought we weren't going to play this, we are. Watch.
Good for you.
Well, I think success looks like at least 7 million people having signed up by the end of March 2014.
Go ahead, Ron.
Right. You can't undo the truth. They said they had to have about 48% of the people who signed up had to be young invincibles, people who are primarily healthy to help make the math work. They're around 25% now. I'm sorry, they said they need to get 38. They're at 25% now. They're not where they need to be. That is just a fact. You can't undo that. They're telling us they got 3.3 million. Well, as you heard earlier, that number is basically made up because we don't know how many people have actually paid the insurance. So in other words, today I could have signed up 7 times, and I would have been counted 7 times into that 3.3 million when I haven't put a dime down on insurance yet. They're not being honest about that. And lastly, I know the talking point now is that 90% of the folks who have signed up, quote unquote, actually had insurance before and lost it. That number, I wouldn't believe that number. That is really not plausible. The real number, even if you ask inside the White House, is closer to 30%. Even the White House is acknowledging that at least 30% of the people who have, quote unquote, enrolled had insurance before all this happened. And if you do the math, 30% is too high for this to work.
Wow.
So, it just may end up, and again, I want people who need insurance to get it, but this may end up working well, but if it keeps on heading the way it is now, the numbers just aren't going to add up.
Yeah.
And they might as well be honest about it.
And I want the viewers to know, just on Ed Henry, he was talking about how the numbers went up in January versus earlier. But if you compare month to month, December and January, enrollment's gone down. December's total enrollment was 1.8 million, and today's report indicates that 1.1 million people signed up in January. That's a drop of 640,000 plus enrollees month to month, despite how they are spinning it. Ron, good to see you.